All right, this is the answers to the homework 6.1.2. First one, dealing with the pieces of licorice again. It says, show how you can divide 9 pieces of licorice with 4 people. So first thing I would do is draw my 9 pieces of licorice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. Then I have to share these with 4 people. So I'm going to use 1 for person 1. So person 1, I would say, would get these 2. Person 2 would get those 2. Person 3 would get those 2. And finally, person 4 would get those 2. Now we got 1 left over. I'm going to make this a little bit longer just so we can show it a little bit easier. Now I can't have leftovers. Remember, I have to share all of them equally. So I'm going to split this one into 4 pieces. Person 4, 3, 2, and finally person 1. So for example, person 1 got 2 whole pieces, and then this little piece over here. This little piece is 1/4, because it's 1 out of 4 pieces. Okay, so the answer is 2 1/4 for that first problem. The next problem, dealing with some fractions. And now the tricky part about this one is they're out of 2 different holes. So the first one, you'll notice she painted half of the bathroom ceiling, and the second one, she painted 1/4 of the library ceiling. So the first question says, who painted the larger fraction of their ceiling? So obviously, the first one here goes to number 1 because she painted more of her part. The second one, though, says who painted more area, right? So as you can tell by the drawings, the second one here, is a much larger area, a lot larger. And in fact, even if I took, and I'll do it right now to show you, even if I took this part here and moved it to check, I can see, oh, that's not, I can fit at least 2 to 3 in there. So the answer to number 2 is actually the second one, because that one covered, she painted more area. Now it says, why should the answers for parts A and B be different? Well, because they're out of 2 different holes. Okay? Remember, for fractions to be the same, they have to be out of the same hole. And in this case, the fractions are not out of the same hole. Next question. I like this question. All right, so together, Lucia and Ben have saved $150. This is a ratio here now. Lucia saved $2 for every $1 Ben saved. So we have a ratio of 2 to 1. And I'll just use L for Lucia and B for Ben, okay? Because she's saving $2 for every $1 she gets. And it said they saved $150 total. And again, remember, like I always say, whenever you're solving, especially a word problem, write down all the information they tell you, all the information you need, then go back and look to see what you actually have to do. So in this case, it says, how much money did each person save? So that's the question we actually have to answer. So here's one way to do it, and this is probably one of the most efficient ways to do it. Okay? So if they both saved, I would consider like 1 time, right? Let's pretend these are days, and the first day they put their money in the jar together, okay? In that jar, there would be a total of $3 because Lucia put in $2 and Ben put in $1. Okay, so for a total of 3. So then my question is, if 1 day equals $3, how many days would it take him to save $150? Well, then you should be thinking in your head, well, that's just 150 divided by 3, which is 50. So it takes them 50 days to save $150 because each day they save $3. So now the question is, now that I figured that out, how's that going to help me figure out how much each person got? Well, if it's 50 days and Lucia is putting $2 in every day, that's just 2 times 50, which is 100. And then Ben's only putting in $1 a day for 50 days, so that's $50. So here is how much each person saved and put in the bank. So Lucia put in $100, Ben put in $50. Okay? And you did not have to think of it as days. I just thought that was a good way to explain what was going on in this problem. Next one, find the product. Remember, product means multiplication. I'm only going to do the first one and the last one, and then you have to figure out 2 and 3 on your own based on what I'm doing for the first 2. Remember, multiplication, you multiply straight across. So the first one here, the numerator is 2 times 2 is 4. 3 groups of 7 is 21. There's my answer to the first problem. Remember, you do not need to get a common denominator. That's only for adding and subtracting. Next one. Okay, this is actually 1 2/3. The one kind of a little below it for some reason. Time groups of 1/5. Remember, first thing you must do in these is make it improper. Okay, 1 2/3 is the same thing as 5/3. And how I got the 5 was doing 1 times 3. So the 1 and the 3 here is 3. And then I added the 2 to get 5, because there are 3/3 in one whole, and then you have another 2/3. So 3/3 plus 2/3 is 5/3. So then my real problem becomes 5/3 of 1/5. And again, now it's what I've done before, multiply straight across. 5 groups of 1 is 5. 3 groups of 5 is 15. That is also the exact same thing as 1/3, because 5 divided by 5 is 1, and divide that side by 5, and I get 3. So 5/15 or 1/3. Last problem here. We have a graph, and all you have to do is tell me what the points are. So the first one here, remember the points always go X and then Y. Just like the alphabet, X comes first, and luckily for you, they tell you that here's X and here's Y. So you always go over and then up or down. All right, so the first one here, we go over 2, up 3. So the first one here should be 2, 3. Next one, you'll notice it's in the middle, right here somewhere, right? So in between 3 and 4, you should know is 3.5. And then it's obviously at 8. Okay, C, at 4, 1.5. At D, we have it, I'll show this one a different color. We come up about 5.5, come over at 4.5. So 5.5, 4.5. And then finally E is at 8, and then 8 again, so 8, 8. Those are the answers to homework 6.1.2. Good luck.